Hello.
That's my language, so I'm an Arab. That's why I wanted to greet the people in just a good evening. Anyway, it's such a great honor for us to be gathered here today. Actually, these are things that we haven't really been seen, so it takes a lot of guts, a lot of effort from our executive board currently for GAPS, and I really want to acknowledge them for the fantastic job they have done. It's not easy. So they deserve a clap. Let's give it to them. Let's give it to them. Let's give it to them. So I think it's because they're doing something great, and therefore when they call on us to also be part of it, it's just sweet to be part of it. So I'm blessed to be part of you guys today. It's such a great honor to be here to celebrate the 68th birthday of our nation, Ghana, and to commemorate the hard-fought won battles that led us to the freedom we're enjoying today. So even though we have a team there that we want to navigate our career successes as international students in Diaspora, I'm going to take a few minutes just to kind of give us a flavor of what even brought us to this stand. Why do we want to remember this day? It's not just to be successful, but we need to know where we came from and why we want to build on that to be successful individually and to contribute to the struggle. So what I'm going to show you quickly, again, a short video came already, but I really want to see the proclamation and a short excerpt of what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said to us on the day that we begin in the So except the very short one, and I want us to just hear the key words that he said to us that day, and the challenge he left for all of us.
The battle has ended. Your beloved country is free forever. And now, there is a new African world.
So enjoy it.
That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing all of us. I want you all, those who have hearts on, to take off your hats and let the band play our national anthem. And from now on.
So Nkrumah said a very powerful statement there. Okay, so Nkrumah said a very powerful statement there on the day that we got liberated. And we got to understand that it's very powerful. It's a statement that came from his heart. And he kind of declared it that Ghana, your beloved country, is free. It's a freedom, it's a powerful thing. When somebody holds you ransom, when somebody ties you down, when somebody prevents you from doing the things that you know you're capable of doing, it's not just frustrating, but it's just like it seizes your humanity. And these were the things that we endure as a continent of Africa. And so when Nkrumah and his entourage that went through to wrestle and defeat colonial rule, he proclaimed that statement, your beloved country is free. And he wants them to walk in the freedom. He expects them to walk in the freedom. One thing is to be free, but still hold yourself as if you are still being tied up. And that's something that we want to challenge ourselves day in, day out. The freedom is given to us. Are we really using it? Are we walking the freedom? And that's the key thing. So I just want to point out that just before Ghana became Ghana, it used to be called the Gold Coast. And we have to understand, because our team says that from Gold Coast to the Global Coast. Why do we say the Gold Coast? We say the Gold Coast because it is indeed true that because it has a lot of gold, everybody is interested in that coast. So the Portuguese were the first guys to discover the coast. And then when these guys got there as merchandise and all the slavery trade and all of that, they figured there's a lot of gold in this place. So it became a battleground for a lot of countries. The Danes were there, the Swedes were there, the Dutch were there. The British came in, and everybody was fighting over the coast. But the Portuguese were the first people to name it the Gold Coast, because there was a lot of gold at that coast. And therefore they fought for it for among themselves until the British became the super dominant and therefore took over the control of the country and then ruled it for several years. So it's very important that we understand what we call ourselves the Gold Coast is because of the mineral resources, the wealth that has been bestowed to Ghana, and everywhere there's a good thing, we have people fighting for it. Maybe some of those gold should have still been there, will be maybe more prosperous today because we could mine them for ourselves, for our own development. And again, we could go back and litigate that, we could go back and be sober over it, but we can move on and also say that now we're in control, what do we do with it? And that's the key thing that we need to be thinking about. That's it. So I just want to let us know that since independence 1957, we realized that we went through a transition period, but before the overthrow of our first president, Nkrumah, in 1966. After that, there will be a series of instabilities that have happened to the country. And therefore, we don't have to lose track of that. We are enjoying a lot of stability in Ghana now as a beacon for the whole of the African continent. We were the first to be freed. Ghana will lead the struggle for the whole independence for the whole of Africa in sub-Saharan Africa. And therefore, after Nkrumah's overthrow in 1966, and we went through all of the struggle till 1993, when constitutional rule begins to kick in, led by former President Rawlings, we can see that democracy has become a beacon for the country. And it's something we should cherish. It's something that we should celebrate. It's something that we should be proud of. That we could have succession of presidents and one rule, another one comes in, there's transfer of power peacefully and safely. We've been hearing of all the stories that happens in other places when elections happen. So from 1993 till our time now, we have been successful in all these transitions. So if you are not a Ghanaian, but you are invited to this program, I really want to first of all to just let you know the kind of country we are now. It's a very stable country. And definitely if you're thinking of visiting Africa, I want to encourage you to visit the country, Ghana, formerly the Gold Coast. So just a few highlights again that you will regret if you visit Ghana. It's an amazing place. Okay? It's a fantastic place. Very rich cultural diversities. A lot of things are going to happen. You will have a blast. So not only are you going there knowing that there's peace and stability, but you will be welcomed by the beauty and the elegance of our culture. Next slide. I really want to let us also know that the country is a very rich country, not just in gold, but in cocoa. We are the second largest producer worldwide for cocoa production. We used to even be the first until Cote d'Ivoire overtook us. But again, it means that there's room to recover the first spot again. So there's a lot of things that is beautiful about Ghana. If you haven't tasted our King's Bite cocoa, you better, if you visit Ghana, try to get a rich chocolate. Rich. And I really want to let you know that you'll be treated with amazing landscapes and the waterfall. If you look at the blue waterfalls, they're the highest in the whole of West Africa. If you visit Ghana, I definitely want you to pay attention to that, visit that place. Next slide. And I also want to let you know that our beaches will treat you. Amazing coastal areas. Our beaches will welcome you to serenity, and therefore you want to definitely pay a visit to that. Those of you who like the wildlife and to go to the games, the Mole National Park in the northern region will welcome you to an amazing display of animals in their own wild freedom and enjoying beauty. So I happened to be in the north for several years for my undergrad education, and therefore Mole was one of my fantastic places. Our castles, again, is embedded into our history. The colonial masters came, they wanted to be taking the gold away, not just the gold, but also the human gold from the continent. And therefore, all these castles were built, and they were shipping our people away through these castles. But today, they are still part of our legacy, our heritage, and therefore proud to visit there. If you happen to be in Ghana, you want to see there and see the rich history that exists there. For sure, there are a wide range of museums that, for sure, one of which is our first president's named after him, Nkrumah's Memorial Museum. You want to visit some of these places. So there's a wide history and a richness to Ghana. And the beautiful thing is that not only did it lead the struggle for the decolonization of the whole of the continent, but today still plays a strategic role in the whole of Africa, and is an envy and trailblazer to a wide range, and many African countries look up to Ghana. Okay. So that brings me to why actually we gathered here after a little bit of pets to Ghana and why you should visit it. Is that we are looking here today to look at navigating career success as an international student in the diaspora. And it's a very topical thing again, where we came here because we want to succeed. We came here because we want to do well. I don't think anybody just took their bag and jumped onto the plane and want to come here and just gallivant and move around and just see America. No. You came here because you want to be a better version of yourself. You want to come here because you want to invest in yourself. either to be still a global citizen, useful wherever God is going to place you, or you want to return to Ghana and be a major player to the development of the country. So today, as we look at that theme here, this year's theme in our own country, Ghana, says that we should reflect, review, and reset. That's what the theme of this year's Independent 68 is all about in Ghana. And therefore, it ties very well also with what we have chosen as gaps for ourselves to discuss today. And the key thing is that we're talking about navigating our career. And I just want to say a few things that if you really want to succeed in career, you really want to do well, there are some fundamental things you want to know about yourself before you even think, can I be successful? And therefore, very important that same way that we are reflecting, I also want to take care that we as people who are desiring to succeed in anything, we also need to reflect and take actions. And therefore, that will tie down to a team very well. And the first thing I want to highlight is that you want to see what brings you joy. Who really are you? Can you define who you are yourself? That's the first thing you have to know. Because you have to know what excites you. And I call them that you need to know what are your VIPs of life. If you don't know your own VIPs of life, somebody else is going to define them for you. And therefore, you aren't going to be successful because success is relative to what you measure it to. Success can mean different things for different people. So you want to know your own VIPs, which are your values, your own interests. You want to know your personality and the skills that is bestowed to you. Once you discover those things, that sets the basis for you to know this is really what I want to go for. So that somebody else will define your values for you, somebody else will tell you what you should be doing. And then you want to know what you're good at. And being good at is simply not discovering the things that you want to get involved in. And many of us are here doing a lot of programs. Some people are majoring in engineering, some are doing law, some are doing architecture, some are doing medicine, some are doing all kinds of programs. It is because we have found interest in those things. We are getting involved. We want to build ourselves up to do better in those things. And together, when we study all these various things, together we bring them together, and that's how we're going to become a successful team or a successful nation. Because we don't just need only lawyers to do very well. We don't just need only medical doctors to do well. We need every team to come together to do well. And therefore, once you know all of those things, then you have to now ask yourself, what does the world need from you? And that's when you begin to explore your career. So after you discover yourself, your VIPs, you get involved, now the world is going to ask something from you. So for us to do very well and to succeed, we need to be thinking about what are the things that we need to be doing, especially we as international students who have come abroad to study. So after you figure out all of these things, and I believe that many of you may have figured it out already, some of you are still trying to figure it out. But once you have made the decision to be here, there's a few things that we don't know. We all have to agree that when you leave Ghana and come to the United States, there are some things you don't know about this country. There are some rules of engagement that you don't know. There are some laid-down principles that you don't know. The question will be, first of all, if you want to succeed in this ecosystem, the first thing you will do, take time to know about the rules of engagement in this place. Because if you don't know the rules of engagement, you will miss a whole lot of things. Even the rule of engagement in a classroom, how you submit assignments, how to talk to your professor, how to attend office hours. All these basic things, they are rules of engagement. They are laid-down principles that we need to follow. The same way we went through our education in Ghana, I don't think we have office hours when we were studying at KUST or Legon and all of that. They may have different forms for it. But those things are made available to us here to enjoy. So the question is, do we know the rules of engagement? So that's the reason why I want to say that the rules of engagement form the foundations of your personal and professional development or your success. And it's going to be very critical that we understand that very, very well. The rules of engagement are going to be the parameters by which we meet our expectations. So every time you go to a particular place, take time to know the rules of engagement. You want to know what is expected. What are the rules you need to play by? What are the things you need to do to even excel at the things you want to do? Neglecting any rules of engagement will be detrimental to a lot of things that you do. It will stagnate you because you didn't do this maybe this week, but the thing has already passed because you missed the rules of engagement. So I want you all who wants to succeed, the first thing I really want us to do is let's learn the rules of engagement. I remember when I went to United Kingdom and I was in UCL, University College of London, to do my PhD, these were some of the things I really have to figure out first. What does UCL stand for? How is life in London? What are the things I would do to succeed? What are the places I have to live? What do I expect? Because if you just jump in and you don't even know how to swim, you're going to be drowned. And therefore we need to take time to figure out all of these things. And there's one slide I put there, next. There are concepts to setting your personal engagement rules as well. Because the system will design your rules, but you also have to design your own rules of engagement. What really do you want yourself? So you have to set boundaries for yourself. You have to define your own rules of engagement. I was struggling with those at some time, and I realized recently I put a mechanism in place, and I defined a rule. I told myself that, okay, if one of my values in life is I want to spend time with my family, my kids, and etc., then I have to set some boundaries, some rules, and tell myself that, okay, I want to leave the office at 6 o'clock or at 5:30. Whatever decision, it's a value I have to create. It's a rule of engagement. It means that if somebody else wants to give me an appointment after that time, the person is going to break my rule of engagement. I can tell the person, no, can we schedule that for another day? Because if you don't set your own rules of engagement, people are going to just break your rules left, center, right. You will follow people left, center, right, because you don't even have your own rules of engagement. So it's not everywhere you just follow people and go. If it's against your rules of engagement, you don't go. Because if you do, then you are breaking your own rules of engagement. So know the rules of engagement in general for the system, but define your own rules of engagement and make sure you hold your own self accountable to them. Next slide. And one of the bigger things I want us to talk about is define your vision. Many of us have come here, but we need to have a clear vision while we are here. A clear vision. And the vision is something that you really look up to. It's a bigger picture. It's not just based on the circumstances of the things happening around you. That is why it has to be big. It has to be something that you really look up to. You have to clearly define it. Once you define your vision, it's going to lay the blueprint to everything you want to do. And it's very, very important that we take notice of that. Next slide. So very, very important that by defining your vision, you create the map for the journey of success. So success begins once after you get all those visions clearly defined. Many of us have come here and we need to know it's not just you came here because you just want to get a degree or because I want to also get an international degree. Beyond the paper you get. I can't remember the last time I even looked at my PhD certificate. It's just a piece of paper. So if it's just to get the paper, then I've lost the bigger vision. The vision should be far beyond that piece of paper they will give you at the end of the day. What really do you want to do with the paper? That's the key thing that you want to figure out all through the journey as you're here. What is that bigger thing that I really want to be part of and contribute to? And once you figure that out, when the paper comes, don't worry, you keep it down somewhere and pursue the vision that really you define for yourself first. And I look, for instance, you may have a vision like, I envision a future where I am a successful entrepreneur using my creativity and innovation to make positive impact in society. That can be a bigger vision you have for yourself. The degree itself, the paper is not what is going to do that. It is the vision you create for your own life. Now you ask yourself, you want to be a successful entrepreneur. The next question you're going to ask yourself, how am I going to be that? You ask questions. What should I be doing to prepare myself to be that thing? That is the reason why you define your vision. Very clear and go for it. When you define your vision, it lets you get the blueprint and go for it very big. And the last thing I want to talk about is, after your vision is very clear to you, and many of us should have that. Because it's just for instance, if I interview people who want to do PhD in my group, one of the questions I ask them is, why do you want to do a PhD? Sometimes you hear a variety of answers. Let's say, for instance, one of the answers is, oh, I want to do a PhD in your group because my girlfriend just moved to State College and I want to be close to her. Okay, if you are in my shoe, do you think that you've enticed me enough to give you a position in my group? Maybe not, because that's very, very big. What if that girlfriend even break up with you tomorrow? Are you going to now quit your PhD because she has moved out of State College? So we need to look at this in a bigger perspective. Define that. So that's why I say that we need to start. I talk about it as start small but think big. It's because the vision is always going to be so big, but you have to start small. Start small and work towards achieving that goal. Start small. Build it step by step, little by little. Because the dream itself is big enough, and therefore it will overwhelm you. But then if you break it down to manageable steps, take it step by step, and that is when success begins to knock on your door. So define it, let it be very big, and I talk about it being manageable about it. And these goals you set for yourself to achieve all of that has to be very smart. You have to be stand bound. You have to make sure they are measurable, because sometimes even when you achieve the goal, you don't even know you've achieved it, because you didn't have a standard to which to measure it. And one of the things I tell my PhD students is, if you tell yourself that you want to finish this thing by Friday, hold yourself accountable and finish it. That is time bound. So the goal is big, set time bound for yourself and go for it. And the last thing I want to put there is put in the hard work to achieve that thing. Nothing good in this life is going to come that easy. Put in the discipline. Discipline yourself to hold yourself accountable to the things you want to do. Sometimes we lose track of discipline, and therefore many things begin to sway us away from the things that we don't want to do. And the last thing I put there is, what is the standard you're setting for yourself? I hear things like people will say, oh, by Ghanaian standard, this is good. Or by African standard, this is good. Come on, let's be very honest with ourselves. There's nothing like Ghanaian standard. There's nothing like African standard. All we have is a global standard. So if you define your standard to just maybe the small village you come from, it means you're going to be achieving a lot of smaller things. Hold yourself to what we call a global standard. Don't just hold yourself to just little things. And that's the reason why we want to move from the Gold Coast to the global coast. It means now you shouldn't just be thinking, setting your standard based on what was happening in the Gold Coast. You want to have a very high standard for yourself and hold yourself accountable to the standard. Pursue them, go for them. The standard are going to set the basis for everything we're going to do to succeed if we really want to make it in this diaspora. Because if you have no standard, people are going to be setting the bars for you. And it's what shame will it be that your life is always dictated by somebody else? That is no more freedom. So set the bars very high for yourself. And that's the reason why I put this statement from the former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson, says that if your dream does not scare you, then you're not big enough. Because the dream must be bigger than yourself. It's not just because your girlfriend has moved, but you really want to get it big. Let it scare you. And because it scares you, you're going to put in the discipline, the hard work to go for it. And then it's going to start asking for help. Can I do it? Who can help me? And I carry along the journey to achieve that success. And that's the reason the next point I want to put there in our pursuit to do well in this diaspora, in our pursuit to do well. One of the key things I call is adaptability. How adaptable you are. You cannot just say, I am rigid, and you carry a mentality from the Gold Coast, from Ghana to this place, and you just hold it so fixated on it. That may stagnate you. That is the reason why adaptability becomes very, very, very important. Your ability to adjust to the circumstances that are happening around you. We should be amiable. We should be adaptable. And that's the thing that we need to learn. And I put the second thing, that be open to the diversities all around you. Don't just come and say, okay, I'm a Ghanaian, so everybody that look around is only Ghanaian. In this country, you see a huge diversity around you. And each of them offers something. Each of them bring a new perspective to your life. Figure them out. Join them. Be open-minded to people. Learn from people. Some of the best things are going to happen to you in this country are not going to come from Ghanaians. Some of the best things may happen to you from unconventional people. The question is, are you open to these diversities? Because you may limit yourself significantly if you make that error by saying, I will only hang around Ghanaians, or I will only hang around Africans. No. Be open, be adaptable, and get these things into your life and get into the culture and learn from the variety of perspective that is available to you. That is the reason why you're here. You came to make connections. You came to reinvent. You came to discover things that you didn't have access to. So take advantage of it. In Penn State, you have a variety of things happening around you. It's a huge community. Take time to figure them out. Learn from them, not only from GAPS. GAPS just gives you the family, people who believe in you, people who can give you the comfort. But beyond that, let other people challenge you. They push you to the things that you want to do. That's it. And adaptability is what leads to what we call resilience. Resilience is going to be very critical also in your journey if you really want to make it in this life. And I put in resilience in the face of adversity. I won't lie to you, there's going to be many adversities. As an international student, you're going to face a variety of adversities. Many of them, if I tell you that you won't face them, I'll be the biggest liar. But when the adversity comes, how do you see them? You have traveled all the way from the Gold Coast to this place. Is this somebody just telling you that, oh, you look black, and that stops you from why you came here? No. So there's a reason why in the face of adversity, you want to develop the resilience. Some things you can knock them off. Because you can't let those things stop you from achieving your dreams. You can't let those things stop you from attaining the success you want. So you've got to look past them. You develop the stamina, the capacity to say, this one can't stop me. I'm going to move on. I'm going to make headway anyway, irrespective of the challenges that are going to happen to me. And that's the reason why I said that you can never lose hope, you can never be despaired. You just have to keep in hanging there. I tell everybody, I say, just hang in there. One of the common phrases, if you ever hang around me, is hang in there. Hang in there. As far as you don't let go, you can attain the things that you're looking for, irrespective of the challenges that are happening. And you build that stamina. Once you overcome one, it's a pass. You develop another stamina for another one. And the more you get successful, even from somebody from the Gold Coast, don't worry, your challenges will even get bigger because you face more resistance. But then you can overcome them because you've overcome one, you can do the next one. You can do the next one. Even in the face of all the challenges that you will face. Next thing. And then the reason I put the eagle here, we can learn from it that channel the spirit of the eagle and rise above every challenge. Rise above it. Sometimes you may not be able to rise above it alone, and that's why we need each other. If I can fly maybe up to this point, and another person can lift me up to the next one, that is still flying. You can't make this thing alone. But the key thing is the mindset. How do you see the challenges that come your way? If you see them to stop you, they will stop you. If you see them as stepping stone to rise up, you will rise up. So I want you to take an inspiration from the eagle and fly above the storm. And that's the last one. The key thing also under that adaptability and resilience is say, don't take rejection personally. Because you're going to see a lot of rejections. You may apply for a lot of things, they're going to say no to you. But the no doesn't stop you. It just simply means try another opportunity. Sometimes we take it so personal and we say, oh, they think I'm not good enough. I'm not just good. And then you start talking yourself into this despair of giving up. Oh, I'm not good enough. They said, I wrote the CV, they just kind of rubbish it. I wrote the English, say, I cannot even speak. So they say a whole lot of things that would demoralize you, break it down, break your resistance and your spirit. But you want to tell yourself that, that's not it. Don't take it personal. View challenges as opportunities. And I like this thing from my side. He said, I'm thankful for all those who said no to me. He's thankful. Why? Because it is because of them that he's doing it himself. They may say no to you, that's okay. But that doesn't stop you. If they say no to you, don't just go into pity party. Tell yourself, how do I figure this thing out myself? I'm asking for help, he didn't give it to me. Can I figure it out myself? It is when you figure out things yourself, that's when it becomes your own. Okay? When somebody gives it to you, it's not yours. When you figure it out, that is when it becomes yours. So take the time, even in the face of all these adversities of saying no to you and rejections, and I bet you will get a lot of them, especially even after school when you start to apply for jobs. You want to go for this internship, you want to do that. Separate no's and don't come. How do you see them? Rise above them. Next slide. And the only way you're going to rise above them is to build a support system. Support system is critical to success in the diaspora. Very, very critical. I remember when I moved into Penn State in 2021 earlier, maybe I was one young faculty around, I didn't have a lot of people around me. After some time, Dr. Lutifofa came, his wife came, other people started coming. What did that do to me? Oh, it gave me a lot of support. We started to form a strong force. We could help one another. We could just channel some of the frustrations we go through individually and talk about it. So very critical. And that's the key thing I want to tell you, that don't be afraid to ask for help. If you really want to succeed, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's nothing wrong saying, at least ask for it. If the person says no, you go to the previous slide, I'll do it myself. But ask for it. If it is available, take it. So take it. Ask for help from among yourself, ask for help from other colleagues, ask for help from your professors, ask for help from all the support systems that are around you, and pursue them, but go for it. And then the next thing I talk about is basically develop your employability. You gotta develop it. Many of us who want to finish school, get employed, get jobs, either here in Ghana, in the UK. We're calling ourselves global citizens. That means that you're not limited to being in Ghana. You can have a strong desire. That can also be the goal you have for yourself. That you want to go back and make a change. But you have to develop your employability. Your employability simply means not the degree you're going to get here. What are the soft skills? What else are you going to get from Penn State? Is it just the piece of paper you get? What skills can you develop here? Your effective communication. Your email etiquette. How to even send an email is a skill you have to develop. How to speak effectively is a skill. Spend time to develop your soft skills. Those are the things that are going to lead to your employability, and therefore spend time to do them very well. And I talk about time management. Very, very important. You've got to spend your time. If you go back to Ghana sometime, people just eat our time. Here, time is very important. It's money. Don't waste other people's time and don't let other people waste your time. Very important. That's it. So we're going to discuss this. And one of the key things to talk about is networking. Networking and branding. Networking and branding. Please, as you're here, one of the things I will encourage, if you have not done it yet, brand yourself, because nobody will brand you. Spend time to brand yourself. If you think that you want to be professional, join professional social media platform. Don't go and be scrolling people's pages. Brand yourself. Spend time to talk about who you are, your values, the things you cherish, the things you work in, because people discover you giving on those platforms for the opportunities that they're looking for. So branding is critical. Next slide. And I learned this thing with Notify myself was in Kigali recently, and we were with the US Academy president at a very powerful meeting. And what the statement I picked from her is, he said, emergency is not it's not the best time or place to exchange contacts or cards. You exchange the card earlier. When the emergency happens, you call the person. That's not the time you're asking for the person's phone number. So get to know people. Get this contact before emergency strikes. Very important. Next slide. Consistency is the last thing I'll talk about. I will leave that for the discussion session, maybe hide a little bit more on it. But consistency. Don't just operate 100 today and tomorrow you operate at 40. Because that's always our problem. The day you operate at 40 is the day somebody will discover you and say, no, this guy is a 40% level operator. I don't need a person on my team. Be consistent. And prioritize your mental health. Very important. I'll talk a little bit more on the discussion session. But I want to leave us with this from our president. Of all the things we heard, this is the best advice myself he gave me. And that says that, countrymen, the task ahead is great indeed, and heavy is the responsibility. And yet it is a noble and glorious challenge. A challenge which calls for the courage to dream, the courage to believe, the courage to dare, the courage to do, the courage to envision, the courage to fight, the courage to work, the courage to achieve the highest excellencies and the fullest greatness of man. And the last thing we say, dare we ask for more in life. So today I want to challenge you, ask for more in this life. Ask for more, dare yourself, challenge yourself, demand for more in this life. And if you do that, success can knock on your door. And that's our president daring us to do so. And the conclusion is, I just want to wish all of us a happy Independence Day.